Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Independent Creator Podcast. Oh, we're going to be talking about a heavy subject today. Well, not really heavy, but it's something that does affect a lot of people that were streaming on the live space. The live streaming service, live space or platform. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. It was kind of a shot out of the dark, but something that we knew there's inklings of something going on in the background, and that all of a sudden, with this notification from LifeSpace themselves, that they're shutting down. And when that notification went out, well, no one can stream. No one was able to stream to the service. It's pretty much like they flipped the switch and turned off the streaming portion of the site. So yeah, it was something that, like I said, it was shot out of the blue, and it was kind of like, wow, okay, that just happened. Like it was something that there for some weeks there was some kind of inkling that there was something going on, because ever since the server started up, and even in the beta, there was constantly communication. There was updates. There was a lot of chatter within the Discord server and everywhere else. Unfortunately, for the past couple weeks prior to the notification going out, it seemed like the Discord servers just kind of went silent on them all of a sudden. There wasn't that much communication, except for Todd when he was doing his Tea Days with Todd on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He was still doing those, except for the weeks that he was busy doing other things. Of course, being a co-founder, you are kind of beholden to actual running the business, right? So it was kind of strange to see that there wasn't, there was the last update, I forget which one it was, but it was the last one in a couple weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks after that update went out. There was almost nothing going on. There's no communication. A lot of things were just not being taken care of. And for us that were using the site, it was kind of strange to see, and almost kind of like a precursor to what was to come. It was like the calm before the storm, as it were. And it was unheard of to see that. Because for me personally, probably also anyone else that were streaming on that, LifeSpace was a great place to be. It was a great place to do some set up your live streams and start building a community around your particular channel and what you do. And LifeSpace definitely had blanking on the word. It's not the gumption, but they had the capability of bringing in a live streaming service platform with a social networking kind of situation going on, and kind of bringing them together. And that really hasn't been seen in pretty much all the other live streaming services and platforms that we see so far. And that's not to say that LifeSpace was, innovative and it was just completely knocking it out of the park. They had some missteps, and I think one of those missteps were they were constantly changing the front page a lot. It was almost every other week where the front page, when you go to the site, was something completely different. The layout was changed completely, and I get it. I understand that they were experimenting and trying to figure out what works and all sorts of stuff like that. But the problem is that portion, I think, probably kept a lot of people away that were trying to see what LifeSpace was all about. And it was confusing for people to come in one day, watch a stream, and then the next is like a completely different layout, and they're like, where is this particular section of the website? So I think they're trying to do too much too fast. And it was something that I think hurt them, really, because, like I said, new people coming in, they like to have kind of stable setup, to come to. They click on wherever the following feed is. They click on that. They know where it is. And unfortunately, Lightspace would move it around to different sections or get rid of it entirely. And it's just, the adage of the move fast and break things. Well, that's great in a startup business, which Lightspace was. But unfortunately, in trying to be a live streaming platform, it's something that, it's kind of, you need that stable user experience that, when a viewer comes in, they know exactly where the followers are, the following list is, where the social feed is and stuff like that. To move it around, it makes them angry and they don't want to come back. But the problem is that Livespace was a startup, and from the different things that I've been reading in the Discord server is that the reason why Livespace is shutting down, or essentially has shut down pretty much, is its lack of funding, or they couldn't get the funding. They were trying to get together with some VCs, and the story that's coming out is that these venture capitalists wanted to see Lightspace integrate some AI integrations, which I'm glad that Todd and Spencer decided to stand their ground and say, no, we're not going to do that, because everyone and their mother is doing some sort of AI whatever in their product, and it's not the best implementation, and it's also, then that is also driving people away who don't want to see AI shoved down their throats on everything and everywhere that they go. So unfortunately, I guess that was like a stipulation of, hey, we're going to give you these millions of dollars, but we want to see you put in some AI integrations. And Todd and Spencer and I guess and the rest of the team said, no, we're not going to do that. And the VC said, okay, we're taking our money and going home. And unfortunately, that's what happened, is that when they sent out the notification, like I said, is that they essentially turned off that switch and no one can stream. Right now, all you can do until tomorrow, actually tonight, as recording this video or this episode, is that all you're going to have is just your social feed. And it's been for the past week and a half. And people have been utilizing it to post up, follow me, streaming over on Twitch or Kick or wherever. My socials are here, and it's a sad state of affairs to see something that had a lot of promise just get the rug pulled out from underneath them. It's something that we've seen so many times, and I think to see that other platforms can take note of what happened with Livespace and probably integrate some kind of forms of what Livespace was working on with like the social feed and putting that into their own live streaming service or platforms. And I know Twitch had something similar to that like many years ago, and we don't really see that coming to light on any other platforms. We don't see anything like that coming to like SharePlay that I know of. Beam just came out. There's not really any kind of like social feed, so to speak. There's Arena that doesn't really have anything of that effect as well. There is some semblance of that on YouTube with a community tab. Owncast does not have that, because Owncast is just for live streaming and that's it. And it's good for what it does in live streaming, and that's great. PeerTube has a live streaming aspect and not really a social feed, as it were, because everything is relying on, especially for Owncast and PeerTube, everything goes into like a Fediverse, like Activity Pub integration. So to see something like that come into another platform, it would be pretty awesome to see, to integrate more of a social activity kind of aspect into your platform. But I don't think that's going to come down the line, especially in today's with the high inflation and these large companies wanting to tighten that belt as much as possible. And we're seeing the effects of that where they're canceling services or dropping features or dropping plan features that they were planning on doing and saying, oh, the resources are not there. We might come back to it at a later date or not at all. So it's something that it's just the nature of today's, not societal setup or a financial crisis, as it were. I'm not going to call it crisis, but it is essentially a crisis. Now, the thing is, like I mentioned, the AI aspect, and the AI is great. I use AI with writing or editing show notes and titles and doing all sorts of stuff. And it's great as a tool to be used responsibly. And it's not like an end all be all type of situation. No, AI can cause, lazy streamer or lazy artist or whatever, lazy insert down verb here. It's AI can add some help for a content creator in their stream or their actual videos. And I've covered AI in the past, and I've made some videos on that as well. And that AI seems to be a lot of what these places are utilizing AI is to be this band-aid of, what we gotta do is add all these AI features and all this other stuff to make our platform much better, but they're not stopping to see, the long-term ramifications of what it might happen. And truthfully, we don't know what might happen. We really haven't seen anything that or I should say, experience what could be possible with AI or the harms that could be possible. And I think that something like this could affect the content creators and live streamers on a platform that solely relies on AI in a good way. Because when I looked at, let's take for example, in a good way, as Beam just recently opened up to the public, and one of the features that they had teased out is that viewers would be able to take. Let me back up. The live streamer be sending out their live stream to Beam, and what would happen is that AI would be layering these different overlays on top of their stream that a viewer then could take like their camera, and they showed this on screen. They took the camera, and they were able to delete the background, like pretty much like you would do in the NVIDIA broadcaster or on many different background replacement tools that you can use. And that's all machine learning. So they were able to take that. They were also able to reposition the camera from like the upper left down to the center. Also go into full camera mode as the complete overlay that all you see. Go back to the game with the camera. Remove the camera entirely in just the game. So they didn't really go over a lot exactly how it's all be functioning. But the interesting part is that they said this is all machine learning and AI. And I can see how that can be a good thing where you can let your viewer dictate on their end how they view your stream. It doesn't affect anybody else's stream or watching experience. It's only on that one particular viewer's experience with viewing the stream. So that, in a sense, is something that I can see is, capable in a good way down the line, but used responsibly. And I can see the implementations of maybe importing ads or some kind of like advertising banner or whatnot. I mean, you can see the sky's the limit essentially. And the next thing I want to say is, in a bad way, is that this can also be used in with ads, incorporating so many ads that you don't even see the stream. I mean, you do that right now on Twitch. There's not really any kind of when an ad runs for like 3 minutes, or you get the streamer puts in an ad break, you really don't see the ad. I mean, you don't really see the stream. It gets all shoved up in the upper right. You don't get to hear them. You don't really see all that well what's happening on stream. You're just getting inundated with an ad for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the streamer had decided to set up that particular time, or set up their schedule as. But the thing is that it could lead to more, I don't want to say nefarious ways. It's kind of hard to even imagine, like, what could someone use AI for in a nefarious manner. We don't have that experience, or we don't really know exactly what AI can be used in a way. Would the viewer be able to affect the actual streamer's live stream in a way that affects other viewers' experience? So it's something that we have to look into to keep that from happening, and to put in kind of like a roadblock or guardrails and say, we don't want AI to dictate how a live streaming viewer experience is in a bad manner. We don't want to drive off our viewers. And that's just something that we'll have to work on, because the Pandora's box has been open. We can't put that genie back in the bottle, and different phrases how to do this. It's out there, and we just have to learn to live with it, but also to control it in a manner that is beneficial to ourselves and everybody else. And what happened with LiveSpace is that a group of people decided we didn't want to have AI in our live streaming platform. And unfortunately, with them shutting down, it did affect a lot of content creators. And that's what I want to touch on next, is that content creators and live streamers have been dealing with platform shutdowns for the past couple of years. I believe the first one was Mixer, and that was something that really, well, the way that it was handled wasn't the best. It's pretty much getting broken up over a text message, or actually not even a text message. It was a tweet that Mixer posted up a tweet saying, hey, you got 1 month, you got 30 days, and we're shutting down. Sorry, that's it. And it affected a lot of people, because we saw, again, another platform that had a lot of great potential and was doing a lot of good things for the streaming industry as well, because Mixer had put in, or was using the FTL, which was unheard of at that time, where sub 1 second latency between what your viewer saw and responding to, and what you responded to when they posted up something. There was nothing like that before. Twitch had maybe it was a big latency between what you saw on stream and what actually the streamer was doing. And I think it was like 10 seconds, sometimes even more. Mobile was even like 30 to 40 seconds. But the thing is that Mixer was doing a lot of innovation with like the channel points, the multicasting with multiple streamers. You'd be able to view it on one particular scene or one screen. So they were doing a lot of innovation. And when all of a sudden we got that rug pull with that tweet, it affected a lot of people in a negative manner, because people were focusing or building their community on Mixer, and that was it pretty much. Yeah, they had some over on Twitter. TikTok wasn't even a thing at the time. And to see that your home base that you've been working so hard to build up is going to be completely destroyed, and you're left with nothing. So a lot of people were scrambling and trying to figure out, okay, what do I going to go back to Twitch, or I want to take the Mixer deal and move over to Facebook. And some people did that, but a lot of people, there's a lot of videos. I think they're still around on YouTube of those whole few months, from getting the notification of 30 days prior to shutdown and like a couple months afterwards of just people just, venting their frustrations, sorrow of how hurt they felt that Mixer decided to do this. And it's something to not belittle, but to see that a streaming company or live streaming service had and affected so many people's lives was a great thing to see, but also horrible to watch when this happened. And I think after, because we saw the Mixer shut down, people who moved over to Glimish, it wasn't that many, so the effects wasn't all that great. What was another one that shut down? I'm trying to remember. There's Altair that really didn't get off the ground. It had some promise, but it just never came to fruition. The VTuber one live streaming platform, where it was focused on just VTubers, they shut down. And then LiveSpace said, "Hey, come over. We have a spot for you." And 30 days later, yeah, psych. Twitch South Korea getting shut down. Twitch LiveSpace reaching out to those streamers, say, "Hey, come on over." 30 days later, again. So I think what's happening is that we are, as a content creators, we're starting to become hardened to these shutdowns. And in fact, what's happening is that when new services are coming up like Beam or Arena or even SharePlay has a very huge uphill battle in trying to get people to at least stream to the service and also try to get people to move their viewers or get viewership onto the platform, because we have grown so accustomed to so many platforms shutting down within with little notice. It's kind of, like I said, it's hardened to us as content creators, where it's like we don't want to try out these new services. We don't want to take the risk anymore of trying to integrate a new live streaming service into our community or try to bring our community over to those places. In fact, we're just kind of like, well, we're going back to either YouTube or Twitch, and yeah, that's it. We're tired of constantly having to move things around or trying different things, and that is kind of like a chilling effect on any upcoming or some point in time in the future a live streaming service to start up that has great potential, is doing a great service and is killing it with getting viewers and stuff like that, but they would have an even harder time getting started because of what has happened in the past couple years, because content creators and live streamers, we don't want to deal with the risk anymore. And also our community doesn't want to go through this whole process all over again. So it's kind of shooting itself in the foot, really, of any upstarts. And I don't want to say that any of these ones that are out right now, I don't want to say, oh, you'll have great success, because I that's kind of like lying. And I don't want to be, that person. And I don't want to say, well, your service is gonna fail. But one of the things is that if your service is around for 5 years, maybe that's a very big if. Maybe you'll start getting some people to come over, but that is a tough 5 years, and that's just a number I pulled out of thin air. 5 years is probably a good gauge of figuring out from doing like alpha testing, beta testing, going open release, and then trying to get a production of promotion, getting people to try the service out, bringing larger mid to large streamers over, and then trying to get their viewers over, because it's not going to happen overnight or within a couple months. And it's unfortunately what happened to LiveSpace happened. And I wish something was completely different with LiveSpace, because They had good promise, and it sucks to see. But I also think that the live streaming ecosystem is changing in a way that not only is it just gaming live streams are kind of, not the um what is it, the end all, where you have to have a live streaming service that has gaming aspect to it. I think what we're seeing now is that a lot of places are trying to bring in like an IRL element. Like again, Livespace had a great system with bringing the creatives, focusing on the creatives, like art streams, music streams, crafting, and all sorts of stuff like that, and not just the gaming aspect. The gaming aspect, yeah, that's going to be a given. That's okay. And I don't want to say it's so passe, but it's kind of had its time, and we're moving on or evolving into something different, where you can have Corey. If you don't know, Corey artists. I'm sorry, Corey. I'm butchering your channel name. He was doing a lot of great streams on Livespace, showing off his talent of doing these digital art on the iPad using Procreate, and streaming and integrating that with his fourth wall and a membership and all sorts of good stuff that's going on. Livespace had a function of focusing on that and bringing the light to that particular part of the creative ecosystem, or the sphere of influence. They could have seen a lot of success in bringing IRL creatives over and stuff like that. It just sucks that we really don't have a place that is geared towards that. In a sense, yeah, I know we have Picarto, but it's kind of, would you, like Corey says, would you bring, he wouldn't bring his grandmother to, or let his grandmother watch those streams. And it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, would you want to bring your family to this particular service to watch your stream, when after they're done watching your stream, they can explore other streams, but all of a sudden it's the content that is so like out of their wheelhouse of what they're comfortable with, that, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Same thing with Kick. Yeah, you can try to bring your family or your community that is knows that you're like a cozy streamer, or that you're not controversial, but then say, hey, come to my Kick stream. And when they, after watching your stream, and they look around and it's all like, oh, you got Aiden Ross and all these degenerates all over the place, and it's like, yeah, your community is going to wither and say, yeah, we're not going to watch you on Kick. If you stay on Twitch, yeah, well, or wherever you originally started from. That's the thing that you also have to focus on, is that if you're trying to find a new live streaming service, I say good luck, because your job is insurmountably more difficult after all this with the shutdown Livespace. Like I want to say this was the straw that broke the camel's back, really. And going forward, I enjoy, and I really want to see SharePlay succeed, but I don't want to dilute myself and anyone else in thinking that SharePlay is going to succeed, because they too also have a much more difficult time in trying to get people to try out and come to the service. And don't get me wrong, I love what they're doing. It's just for a very tiny team, and I know their budget is even probably smaller than what Livespace had. I mean, I hate to see them have to shut down as well, but it's I don't want to say I expect it, but okay, moving on. I don't wish ill on them, because what they're doing is great, but just have the expectation that it could fail, and it might fail, unless the miracle happens and hey, great things, right? But I don't want to end this episode on such a downer note, really. There is a lot of great services out there like SharePlay. If you want to try it out, I definitely suggest SharePlay for a multi-channel platform. If you want to have more control, check out Owncast. I am a big advocate of Owncast and for live streaming and controlling that aspect completely within your ecosystem, your sphere of influence. Also, check out PeerTube. PeerTube does have a live streaming aspect to it. It's a little bit more clunky, but it is there. And hell, stay with Twitch or stay with YouTube or do both or do all three or all four. It's completely up to you. I'm not here to tell you to go to one particular platform over another. Ultimately, that is a decision that you have to make, and only you can make that decision. I can only show you what is available out there. And that's the reason why I do this podcast. That's the reason why I do all this alternative platform kind of showcasing and getting the eyes and ears of, I don't want to say the normal people, to see that there are alternatives out there. You don't have to stay with just what you got unless you want to. That's okay. But a great resource to find more information out about alternative platforms and independent creators and indie gaming is going to teutonwaffle.com. I do have a newsletter every week. I send out the weekly waffle with bits of news, reviews of the alternative ecosystem. So definitely sign up for that. It's completely free. Just go to teutonwaffle.com and also have links to our community forums, our Discord, and Matrix. And of course, if you're listening to this after the fact on any podcast player of your choice, you can find me anywhere, and also on PeerTube and on YouTube. But I've been your humble host, Josh, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And do be sure to click that like button down below. It just did a little rainbow effect, a little sparkle and stuff like that. So I'll see you next time on the Independent Creator Podcast. Later, taters.